Coach, congratulations again. Previously, we had a couple of conversations. You said you had teams prior to winning all those championships that the players can do numerous things well. How would you assess this team this year prior to the last couple of years?
Yeah. Last year, the last couple of years, I would say, because of the circumstances that we were under and how many players we didn't have access to and how we had to scramble and put things together, and players had to play 39 minutes every night. If things were going great, things were great. If things started going a little bit sideways, we had no way to change the game. And there was tremendous pressure on Paige to have to be way more than anybody can possibly be for, for an entire season. And the difference this year is, think about it, we have two kids that started 30-some games and played 39 minutes every night coming off the bench. So automatically that makes us a better team than we were last year. We have Geno with the size that she has that we didn't have last year. And then finally, Sarah brings a dimension that we probably haven't had that dimension in a post player. And we've had some really, really good ones, don't get me wrong. Like, Fisa was great, and Olivia was great, Aaliyah Edwards was great. And, they all played in the Final Four, and they all had fabulous careers. But I don't know that anyone has had the offensive skill set that Sarah has since Stewie was here. Now, they're completely different players. They're built differently. They play the game differently. But, they accomplish somewhat the same things. Obviously, she doesn't have Stewie's ability to block shots and, change the game that way. But I think for a freshman, and, that's a component that, you put all those together. You put AZ out on the floor that we didn't have. You put two kids coming off the bench that were starters that we didn't have that kind of bench strength. You had Jenna's size, and then you had Sarah. And obviously, you're looking at a Final Four team from last year that got way better. Unfortunately, so did a lot of other teams get better. So,
yeah, Coach. Now that the Women's Champions Classics in the books, what can the players learn as far as maintaining consistency from being a strong offense going forward?
Yeah, we've had some really interesting games this year. This is the third ranked team that we've played, and in all three of them, at Carolina, we went down there and got up, and then let the game get away from us, and played Ole Miss and got up a lot, and then let the game get away from us in the third quarter. And today we were determined that if we had an opportunity to have an advantage going into halftime, that we were not going to come out in the third quarter and let up and let the game come back to us. And I think the third quarter it was like 23-9. We played exceptionally well in that quarter. So, we're at Notre Dame on Thursday, so it doesn't get any easier. And, it could look a lot different. But I always say that if this is what we're capable of doing, and I guess a really good Louisville team, so this is what we're capable of doing. Doesn't mean we're going to be able to do that every night, but we know that this is in the picture for us. Last year, we weren't sure whether or not we could do this or sustain it. Let's put it that way.
Geno, congrats on the win. To address something that I asked Sarah about, and something that Jeff said, you have on your scouting report for Louisville, what do you say? Well, you know, our number one is to try to stop Paige. Our number two is to try and stop AZ. And, you know, Sarah obviously is a great player and gave her a ton of credit for that. But, you know, it's a third person who can do all the things that Sarah can do. And it reminded me a little bit of that 2016 team. I remember Scott Ruhr talking about in the postgame of the Final Four semis, saying, you know, we made a decision. We couldn't even guard Morton Tuck because there were too many other things that they had to figure out on the defensive end. And I just, yes, the depth obviously is a major difference from last year, but having that third person who, you know, in the same way that Tuck was a lottery pick, you know, is that what you mean by changing the trajectory?
Yeah, because let's say she's not on our team, and Paige graduates this year. Well, Paige leaves this year at the end of the year, having already graduated. Who potentially steps in her shoes as that player that you have to build your scouting report around? We wouldn't have one. So, you know, with that ability to play big, play on the perimeter, that allows everybody else that you put out on the floor to be a better player than they would be otherwise. Okay? So the best teams we've ever had at Connecticut, they were three-pronged, okay? Whether you go back to Kara Walters, Rebecca Lobo, and Nikisha Sales, or Stephanie Dolson, Bria Hartley, and, you know, Kalena Mosqueda Lewis, Stewie, Tuck, and Mariah, you know, and you get to that level, and one of the best ever was, you know, Renee, Maya, and Tina. And people would ask me, like, what makes this team so special? I said, well, we have the absolute best point guard, we have the absolute best center, and then we have the best player in the country. So when you can come at people with those three things, then you have a chance to win every single game you play. And we're fortunate that we have, you know, something like that. We won't know till later on whether it's the equivalent of that, but we've got something like that going for us right now.
Appreciate it.
Do you have an update on AZ, just what happened with her, and is she doing okay?
You know, she attracts the weirdest stuff, right? You know, in Notre Dame, the kid gets pushed into her and she gets hurt. And today, I don't know if you all saw it or anything, but kind of like she got herself in an awkward situation and somebody, you know, fell on her or something. So she was walking around, she was fine, and it didn't look like worst case scenario, let's put it that way, and that we were all crossing our fingers and hoping. So, you know, we'll know more when we get back, but I hope I'm right, but it's not, you know, it's not that worst case scenario that we've seen so many times before.
Hey, Geno. Jan Jensen spoke to us about how much work you put in to get a showcase like this at Barclays Center and for it to be on Fox, which is one of the 4 major networks. I'm just curious if you could reflect upon all of this coming together and getting to see it happen in the way that it did tonight.
Well, I may be getting too much credit, but, you know, I will say that my conversations with people at Horizon, right? You know, David Levy, I think, kind of spearheaded this is what I want to do. You know, I want to showcase women's basketball. How do I do that? I want to invest in it. The people at Fox then were piece number 2. If we can put something together, we will give you the platform to show it. And then thirdly, how do we want it to look? And I said, you know, there has to be a component where all the best teams in the country want to play in this tournament early on against each other, which it's happening more now but that's something that it happens, but not everybody has access to seeing it on a large scale like this one is. So the fact that we had access to Fox, the fact that Horizon was willing to step up and put it together, I was just, okay, I'll figure out a way to get the right teams in here and see where that takes us. And these next 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years, whatever, I'm proud to be the host. And then we'll do our best to bring 3 championship teams. You know, I did talk to him a little bit about going forward. It's going to be, you know, teams that have. We'll try our best to do this. It may not always be possible, but we want to bring in teams that have won national championships and throw them out there all together. And let's just, you know, give fans the best of women's basketball. And I think it was a great show tonight for the most part. We'll see how it played out on TV.
Geno, to piggyback off that, you and I have been talking for at least a decade about something like this happening. You said it would be great for the game, great for the sport, but it didn't happen until now. Does that just show how much the growth of women's basketball that people want to be part of this? People want to put this on TV and national television.
Right.
People want to host it at Barclays.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of credit goes to Barclays for stepping up and doing this. In all transparency, and I don't care if I'm stepping out of line, the original concept was to have this at Madison Square Garden because that's how it came to me. This is how we would like to do it if we can. And we couldn't. And the people here at Barclays, like that, we're in. And so a lot of the credit goes to them, their staff, and their organization because, you know, they have a first-class organization here from way back. You know, I've still got things that I've received from the management here that I still have in my office because of how invested I think they have been in women's sports. So it was really cool to end up having it here. I just think, you know, having it in New York, being in a big stage like this with people who are used to doing big-time women's games, so it wasn't like an afterthought, yeah, let's just throw a women's game out here. These people are, you know, very, 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 very good at that, and they have the best women's basketball team in the world, other than the Olympic team. I mean, they've got that team. So we're better than to showcase the very first one. And, you know, let's just try to keep it growing from here, see what happens. But, yeah, we needed this. We needed this because it right now is the time when people are looking for ways to invest in women's sports and women's basketball in particular. You know, so we just have to give them things to invest in. And then deliver great performances. Oh, you have one?
Is that possible? Just really quick. You probably know better than anyone what it takes. You know, championships isn't just about skill. It's about luck. It's about staying healthy. It's about all of those types of things. Having been a part of so many championship teams over the years, does this have like the makings to be a championship team, that brewing?
Ugh. You know,
You're wishing you left.
There have been times in the past when I would look at my team and I would look at all the pieces of it and I would look at, do we have enough experience? Do we have enough talent at every position? Do we have enough quality depth? And do we have the toughness? You know, and I would secretly to myself and my staff, I would go, you know, if everything goes right and we can keep everybody together, I think we have a chance, great chance to win a national championship. Some years there's, you know, I think we have something that we can build on. Let's see what happens. because we're missing some pieces. We're missing some things that you need. Like Hank Stram said one time years ago, to win the Super Bowl, he says, in order to win it all, you have to have it all. Okay? And those years, we had it all. I don't know yet if we have it all. We got a lot, but I'm not sure we have it all. But then I don't know who does either. So, it's why it's going to be a great year. And I think whoever stays healthy, whoever gets better every day, and as long as we're in the mix, right? As long as people go, hey, I think UConn has a chance, then you know what? That's all you can ask for at this point. Thank you. Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, everybody.